Bye.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Now, as you can tell, I'm not in the Civic today, but I will be working on the fiancée Suzuki Swift. Hopefully trying to fix her rear brakes because one side works, the other side doesn't. And it's primarily on the handbrake. I don't think it's a caliper that's seized or, you know, like a piston in the rear brake shoes as it is on this particular model. I think it's something to do with the handbrake mechanism, perhaps a cable snapped, who knows, but I need to try and figure out what it is so that if it needs parts, I can order them and get them fit. So that's the plan for today. Handbrake not working, driver's side rear, find out what it is, fix it if we can. And yeah, I'm gonna set off to my dad's now. So this is the side in question that I want to be looking at. When the handbrake's on and you try and reverse, this side doesn't lift up like the other side does. But yeah, you get the idea. So this is the side that we're going to be looking at anyway. So first things first, before we start jacking up the back end, I'm going to get this shroud off, this sort of cover over the handbrake. You can see it's sort of up already because of how far we're having to pull the handbrake lever to get it to work effectively. So I'm going to leave it in gear because I'm going to be jacking up the back end. I'm going to let the handbrake off, let it just sort of sit in gear so it can't move, so I'm not scared of it rolling forwards or backwards. And this, I think, yeah, there's a pair of screws. There's one down that side and one down the other. So I'll have to slide the seats forward to get to that. Oh, there we go. It's like little Phillips plastic sort of push plug screws. And I think that'll probably just lift off then. So yeah, I'm going to crack on with that now. Before I do that, my dad's just been talking some right bullshit. What are you saying, Dad? So he's using these as like storage tyres, and he's got things lengthways in there. And I said, oh, you know, take it piss. You could cut some holes in there and use them as like shelves, and you could put a plank of wood on each tyre. What did you say, Dad? You said you've seen some in someone's bedroom.
I'm going to show you a picture now, right?
Fucking hell. Someone's done that and put them in the bedroom. How fucking mad is that? Are you serious? Has someone actually done that?
Yep.
Why would you want something like that in your bedroom? I get like an engine coffee table or something like that, but I don't really get. You seeing that?
Anyone can Google it.
Let me focus it. Look at this, look at them in corner. That's actually mental. As if you do that in your own house, that's just crazy. That's actually
what I do. Once I take my tyres on the next shelves.
Anyway, back to usual programming. Well, it doesn't feel like that the cable's knackered. It doesn't feel like the cable's snapped. It feels alright. So we'll loosen that off as much as we can. Up there on the adjuster, just there. We'll loosen that off, and that'll slacken the cable off and slacken the handbrake cable sides off. So I've just basically completely taken that cable out there, if you can see that. Just completely taken it out of this, just so we've got all the play in the world that we need. Sweet. Next, get the wheel off. Oh yeah, we need to lift this up as well, this orange thing. This tyre's not in very good condition. If I could just pull a bit of focus on there. There we go, look. You can see the cracking. I'm sorry for my unsteady hand. It's cracking all around the edge there on the tread. Also some on the centre of the tyre as well. It's just starting to rain. It's quite low as well. Definitely looks more than 1.6mm though, probably about 2mm. Yeah, definitely needs a pair of tyres just because of the cracking, the dry rot in the tyre itself. Primwell, whatever the fuck that is. Primewell? Primewell, sorry, I missed the E out, I didn't see it. Primewell, shite. But that's the wheel off, now time to get the drum off. So how do I do this? Let me remember right. I knock that centre cap off, don't I? I take the hub nut off. No, it's just undo that nut and it slides off. Yeah, might have to push shoes in a bit. Might act as a lip-on drum. No, I remember, but it's been that long since I've done drums. Well, I've been on this way about 2 years ago or something. Cool, at least remembered. And that's why you have a dad, you see, to ask things to, rather than after YouTube shit. That ratchet's just fucking loose. Yeah, it's just fucking flapping about.
So your choices are now, you can wind it on and set it right and just stick a blob of super glue on the end, bodge it.
Fucking hell.
I've welded them before, adjusted them up and welded them. Or take it apart, see if we can put it back together. If we can't, you're going to have to get a new mechanism.
That should be like pushed up against something, shouldn't it? It shouldn't just be...
Yeah, it's the teeth that go to the mechanism at the back, which this is holding somehow. But you'll have to pull it off to see how it works.
Yeah.
You can see lip. It is working, look, if you... Not very well. I don't think Suzuki ones do work very well, to be fair.
Just right delicate in it for a brake. Right small mechanism, right small teeth, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's up to you, you can just adjust it up and glue it if you want. A bit quickest and easiest bodge.
I will do. She's not keeping it forever, and it's just a set of... It's just rear brakes, isn't it? It's not... It's only for the handbrake, it's like the piston and everything works. Huh?
It's not for handbrake.
Is it not?
That adjustment there sets...
For shoe distance from the piston.
Sets the piston level. So that gives you a higher brake pedal or a lower brake pedal.
Ah, right, okay.
You get the shoes as close to the drum as possible, then the pistons are at the right side, so when you press the brakes, they're on instantly.
Ah.
Way to check
I hate brake shoes, they're too fucking complicated for me, brake
Way
shoes.
to check your pistons, if you just... This could be a problem, your brake shoes are seized to back plate. Pistons seized, look.
Ah.
That wheel cylinder's seized down.
So it needs a new wheel cylinder.
Yeah.
Unless we can give it a whack.
Well, it might free off and it might just leak. So if we give it a little bit of a work, backwards and forwards.
It's not got the smoothest of surfaces, is it, to move across on?
You need to put some pressure on the brake pedal so it pushes against the springs, and then the springs need to pull that piston back. So you're going to have to work it to free it off. And then we'll pull the covers off and see if the boots are filled up with brake fluid. If they have, the seals have gone.
Right, okay, cool.
It's moving now, so we'll just free it by sliding it backwards and forwards. Now it might be that the spring pressure isn't pushing the piston back, it's not going to be helped by all this rust and crud on here. If I were you, Dan, I would pull these shoes off, clean this back plate up, get some copper slip on there, then rebuild it. It's supposed to slide easily across this back plate. When your shoes are off, we'll have a look at the adjuster mechanism, see if there's what we can do to repair it, or see if we need a new one. If we need a new one, we'll just glue it, weld it, whatever you want to do.
So we've just taken the shoes out. There was the ratchet mechanism that went in there. My dad's just having a quick look at that because it doesn't seem to be working very well. I might end up gluing it or welding it. I'm going to clean up these surfaces here because it was making it very hard for the shoes to slide backwards and forwards on the piston and on the handbrake, so causing unnecessary resistance when you're trying to apply the brakes. So I'll clean these areas up. I've just got a drill with a wire bit, so I'll be doing that. and hopefully I'll be able to show you what happens with the ratchet mechanism for the brake shoes once I've done that. So I've cleaned that and all the surfaces that the brake shoes would slide on. As you can see, the sort of 6 contact points. I've also cleaned this, the brake drum itself, taken away that lip. I've tried my best to, and now it's just to adjust the ratchet mechanism and throw it on. So now I'm just going to put some copper slip on for a bit of lubrication before I put the shoes back on. So these brake shoes, that's the ratchet mechanism there. It's just fallen apart. Put it back together. Yeah, that's the ratchet mechanism there. As you can see, it sort of uses that little plate of steel underneath on this little cog, and it's that just wasn't adjusting by the look of it, and it was free, but it just wasn't in the right place. It wasn't in situ. It wasn't keeping the brake shoes sort of pushed out and ratcheted, if that's a word, out. So we've just sort of cleaned it, rebuilt it, and we're going to throw it back on now after we've greased the drum itself. So that's the brake drum all built back up, or the brake shoes should I say, built back up on the back plate for the brake drum. That's actually the brake drum, but you get the idea. That's the adjuster there. As you can see, it looks a lot tighter now than what it did previously, just from cleaning it up, readjusting it, and we're going to sort of set this so the brake drum only just slides over the shoes, and we're going to basically adjust it so that it and glue it so it sticks and stays in that position, because brake shoes don't really wear down. They wear down very, very, very slowly, if anything.
A few moments later.
So many moments later, finally get it on. An absolute fucking ball ache because I put on the drum too tight on the shoes. So when I first put it on, I thought, yep, feels alright, quite stiff to rotate. Shouldn't have whacked it on. Couldn't fucking rotate it, and it just pissed me off. And then I broke a snap-on screwdriver. I broke that anyway. Broke a screwdriver, tried hammering it off, couldn't get it off. Dad came, whacked it off, broke a couple of things. So that was the moment where the camera died, as you can imagine. So the camera died, but to recap, I whacked on the drum a bit too, with the shoes too tight basically, and I couldn't rotate it once it was on, so it had to come back off. At that point I'd already put glue on the adjuster, so that was concerning. So it was like a race against time. My dad had gone out, I'm trying to whack this brake drum off and I couldn't get it off. So anyway, my dad's got like all the pry bars out and everything. He's managed to get it off. We bent a couple of bits, bent it back perfectly fine though afterwards. When I say bent a couple of bits, it was just the retaining clips for the brake shoe springs. So they were just basically bent back into shape and put back on perfectly fine. But yeah, absolute ball ache because I'd put it on too tight and then I just couldn't get it back off the lip on the drum. It just made a seal basically, and it was an absolute nightmare, but sorted it now. It's all back on, it's all working fine. I drove the car home literally 10 minutes after that particular video that you just saw, just after that particular clip. And from driving it home and just parking it up on the drive, the handbrakes now, 5 clicks, I basically, after we threw that drum back on and it rotated, we put the handbrake cable back on, put the centre console sort of cover back on, drove it home, parked it on the drive. It's perfectly fine, it works brilliantly now. So all the steps that led up to putting the drum back on were all perfectly fine, all perfectly accurate, but once we'd put that drum on, I'd done it just a bit too tight on the brake shoes on that adjuster. Because I'd only put like a drop of glue on it just to stop that from backing off, just to stop that thing from backing off, we just used some pliers and just moved it back and then put another little drop on it. So, but yeah, it works mint. So that's the end of today's video. I know it's a little bit, well, I know it ended a little bit crazy. Well, just because of the situation that we ended up with. Well, it ended up crazy for me, probably not for you guys. But I'm not very familiar with drum brakes. I've dismantled and rebuilt calipers, 10, 15 times, whereas drums, I'd only touched them twice before this. I don't think it was 2 years ago, I think it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. So yeah, definitely a bit of a learning curve for me not to whack a drum on too tight. But apart from that, everything I'd basically done myself just with guidance from my dad, which is how we normally do things. And I'm getting a lot more experience with drum brakes, and I'll probably end up bringing the car back to adjust the other side. It doesn't need it, but I feel like I want to, just to make sure that one I can do it myself and be more confident, confident and more comfortable with working on drum brakes, and two, just so I know that both sides are adjusted up nice and tight and that it's where it needs to be. I did notice that the cable on the passenger side, the side that we didn't touch, had a lot more travel than the one on the driver's side. So when you're pulling the handbrake, that sort of little metal bracket that holds the both cables for left and right side, it was lopsided and it was a lot tighter obviously on the driver's side. So I feel like I want to adjust it, but I probably won't end up recording that if I end up doing it. I just want to do it for me so that I get more familiar with the brakes and that style of brake, because I'm not confident with it yet. I moved straight away from drum brakes as soon as I could with the Honda Civic, and I had drums on my Polo, which was my very first car. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. It's a bit of a how-to. It's definitely of me learning how to do drum brakes and adjust the drum brakes, and if you've got a knackered mechanism, what you can do to try and resolve that if you don't have money for parts and things like that. And it'll work perfectly fine. If we need to readjust it in the future, then we'll be able to do that. But drum brakes wear down so slowly that in the next 5, maybe 10 years, it probably won't even be needed. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.